Radha Parisisvara Mandir, bhagavatam, all glorious to the assembly, all glorious to the assembly, all glorious to the assembly, all glorious to Sri Guru and Sri Vaishnav, all Vishnu Radha Krishna, Radha Bhakti Yoga Meditation, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauranga Meditation, Sanghavadi Bhakti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Where are we? What are we reading? Which verse today?
4.
I don't know if you read it. That's French, isn't it?
English.
Is it in there? Chapter 9.
Text 4. Isn't it?
You've broken up on a new box, or you broke from home?
No, I opened the box. The box was open, but the books were not.
Yeah, they should be sealed because that's the only full set we have left in France. There's none in the ACB, there's none in my home. But it's a habit, otherwise you basically steal it.
Can we still use your computer to project the verse so that Buddhists can follow?
Then I might as well just use the computer full stop.
But you need an adapter,
Alright.
USB to HDMI.
It's okay. I will take the one of Rasa Parina. Sorry. The
The
computer of Rasa Parina.
not gonna work.
Sorry.
We are reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, Text 4, 5, move forward, and 6 at least. 4, 5, maybe 6. So, this chapter is Mother Yasoda binds Lord Krishna. And for those who are not here, those who are here, we decided to read this chapter during this month. We have a question that we may need a translation into some language or other. Do we need a translation, ladies? Dayavati speaks fluent Bengali. Is there any way that translation will be there or needed? Yes. Who can answer this? Yeah, no, but I can't speak Bengali. I know, does she need, is someone going to translate? That's my question. Into Bengali. It's going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other language needed? So on the, I don't know if it's on the board or not, is it?
No, this.
Not yet. So we're trying to acquire a computer to facilitate. What we'll do, instead of number 4, what I'll do is I'll read number 4 and we'll go on, if he hasn't done it yet, to number 5. Tavastanya kama sadya matnanting jannating harihi vihitva dadivantan yase nati amam. Well, Mother Yasoda was churning butter. Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. And there's a short purport to this verse. Krishna was sleeping within the room, and as soon as he got up, he became hungry and went to his mother, wanting to stop her from churning, and actually he wanted to drink the milk of her breast. He stopped her from moving the churning rod. Basically a repetition of the verse almost. But the significant point in the verse, or a significant point, which was inferred in the purport, to increase her transcendental pleasure. Mother Yasoda is the subject and Krishna is the object of this relationship. And the pleasure of Mother Yasoda far exceeds that of Krishna's. Although, of course, we could say in terms of pervasiveness, in every relationship Krishna is experiencing an unlimited happiness. In this particular case, Mother Yasoda's happiness exceeds that of Krishna's. Everything she's doing, everything she's thinking, everything about her is simply a personification of her complete love for Krishna. There's not an iota of any other purpose than to bring pleasure to Krishna, whatever she does. as we heard, she's churning. She's churning the yogurt freshly. Krishna is known as making sure, Navanita Chor. This description, she is from the freshly made yogurt the day before, the best you've heard. I was actually reading, there were actually, of the 900,000 cows, 100, but amongst the 100 there were five amongst those who were given this particular field, which is said to have descended from heaven. The grass was said to be in itself, sweeter than the sweetest milk. And these 5 cows were drinking that milk, were eating that grass. And from their milk, every day the cowherds would bring solid golden churns of that milk to Mother Yasoda to prepare those milk products for Krishna. So because she was feeling that maybe Krishna is not satisfied with the milk products produced by her assistants, the countless maidservants, because he's going elsewhere to steal butter, milk, and sweets and what have you. So she herself would prepare. On this particular day, it said that it was the day of Diwali, as we've heard. And it so happened that all the rest of the residents or her servants in the palace, Mother Rohini, Nanda Maharaj, Balaram, they've all gone away. They're not present. They've gone off to the village of Nanda Maharaj's brother, Upananda. No one else is present, one maidservant in attendance, but no one else. It's a very special occasion where Mother Yasoda is basically alone with Krishna. No one else in the palace, practically speaking. And it's not an ordinary palace either. When we think of cowherds, cowgirls living in the village, we think of a mud hut. The mud huts with thatched roof and cow patties on the wall. It's also there. But this palace of Nanda Maharaj was so opulent. It defies practically the opulence of heaven. So opulent. Krishna is not just lie on a straw mattress or something. He's in the most opulent bed. Everything is most beyond imagination. All the jewels, various valuable metals, marbles, various valuable items constitute the room and its paraphernalia. And Krishna is sleeping very, very comfortably in that bed. Although it's Mother Yasoda said she's churning away on the rod. Churning rod. Something we may not have experienced in France. Whether there's anyone still doing that, I do not know. Maybe some traditions are there, occasionally reenacted, of how people used to churn yogurt to make butter. And it was a very special churning rod. It wasn't ordinary churning rod, gold, studded with jewels and gold and so on. And various ropes to steady it around the pot. It was steady. She was back and forth with the churning rod, right arm, left arm, like this. Swish, swish, swish. It was said to be musical sound. The churning rod was singing, not just ordinary piece of wood or whatever it's made from. It was singing. The sound sounded like Vedic hymns practically. Very sweet. And this is in the morning. In the morning, sunrise, basically. Krishna's sleeping comfortably on his bed. And Mother Yasoda, at a distance, is churning the yogurt. And not far away in the kitchen, he's also carefully boiling milk in the kitchen to prepare various kinds of sweets. The birds are singing very beautifully, melodiously. The birds in Vrindavan are not ordinary birds. They're all sages, practically speaking, pure devotees of the Lord, who are singing for the pleasure of Krishna. Everybody appreciates the sweet singing of the birds at dawn. If you're fortunate enough to be able to hear, or you're fortunate enough that birds still exist. The sweet singing of the birds in the morning, waking up, basically is wake-up call. Some of them, like chickens, a little bit more, you could say, they're very much a wake-up call. Their crowing is not unpleasant, it's quite characteristic, it's quite interesting. It's not quite as sweet as some birds, but many of the birds sing very, very sweetly, as if in some orchestral song, all singing together. And this is all going on. Mother Yasoda's ecstasy, her love of Krishna, oozing from her body as she's churning, sweating in love for Krishna, getting tired. Her tiredness is another expression of her love of Krishna. Everything, and she's totally absorbed in thinking of Krishna. He's allowing him to sleep on even though the time has passed for his rising. But eventually, as this verse describes, Krishna awakens. And here sometimes it's described a little differently. Here it's described that he rises with bhagavatam, which is our authoritative text. And he's about 3 years old, apparently. So he can walk. So he goes to the place where Mother Yasoda is. This is a typical event in terms of not this particular detailed event, but how a child, when a child wakes, if it can't walk, it will cry. If it can walk, it may cry also, but it may get up. And knowing that its mother is next door in the kitchen or somewhere close by, will go to its mother to get attention. Krishna wanted attention. And here we see that Krishna went to Mother Yasoda, tried to stop him. Child often does that. Does not really understand what you're doing necessarily, but tries to stop him, the mother at least, from doing what they're doing. and to try to get their attention, as Prabhupada writes in the purport. So that's just, with all this Krishna is doing, it increases the ecstasy of Mother Yasoda.
Must be cold.
So is it on the board now, number 5? Number 5 on the board?
No. Can't
Is-
find the computer.
Who can't find it? You can't find it. Yeah, no, he can't find the computer.
I can read mine.
Okay.
It's going to be number 5, is it? Yeah, it was going to be a bit late. We'll just carry on. Tamam u aradam apayatat tanam sneyasnatam sasmitam nikshiti mukam chittam utsrija javena sajayam vachichamane vipayasi tvadishyate. These are verse. Mother Yasoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Purport. Everything in the household affairs of Mother Yasoda was meant for Krishna. Although Krishna was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yasoda, when she saw that the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately. And thus she left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yasoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it's the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and other things later. The proper intuition for which to do this is given by Krishna. Tesham satata yuktanam vajatan priti purvakam Dani buddhiyogam yena mama priyanti te. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. Interesting purport by Srila Prabhupada. I'll read the verse again. I don't know if you got it on the screen. Mother Yasoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. So, she stopped the milk churning, which of course one can understand. That's not going to create any kind of problem in one sense. It's not like the work that she's done so far will go undone. One can start churning again as and when it's ready. It's not a major loss. But the milk boiling over in the kitchen is another thing. It will be ruined. One of the reasons Mother Yasoda says she's doing this because she was chiding her servants. They would sometimes, in ecstasy, become almost unconscious of what they're doing, burn the milk, absorb. Sometimes a devotee, I've seen devotees like this, and perhaps we've all been like this, absorbed in talking about Krishna, forget what they're doing and make a mistake in what they're doing. And sometimes serious mistakes. And well, hopefully not, but there have been many occasions where devotees have been driving cars and they get so absorbed in talking about Krishna or chanting Hare Krishna, paying their obeisances while they're driving. Literally, it happened once in England and luckily survived. The devotee was like sort of, what do we say, unconscious, driving the car and closing their eyes, head down. There's a little intelligence needed. We don't often have very much intelligence, but here we see Prabhupada describing this intelligent feature which comes from the Lord within, guiding the devotee what to do first, what is the priority. We often have a difficulty with priorities. Many things to do, but what is the priority? How to decide on what is the priority. Sometimes dilemmas are there, either in one's own decision making or in collective decision making, or how to deal with the situation, which is complex. And, making decisions. And for most people it's a mixture of reasons why people make decisions. Maybe experience sometimes comes in, that's a function of the intelligence, also the memory of the past. Maybe it's what they've heard from others, how to do things. It's a good way of making, but it's not fallible by any means, because every situation has other factors involved. Each situation is different and has to be judged somewhat differently. So that may also be very fallible in terms of its perfection. And many times it's driven by our own senses. As Krishna says to Arjuna, it is kam esha krodha esha, it is lust only, O Arjuna, sense desire, fulfillment of our own, or simply seeing it from our own perception. Lust is not just an uncontrolled sexual urge, or an urge for something unnecessarily of a sensual kind, but it's seeing things with ourselves in the center. And mostly decisions are made either individually or collectively based on that principle. And that's also guided by the Lord in the heart, because he's reciprocating with every living entity accordingly. People want to see themselves in the center. So Krishna is reciprocating, and according to their karma, the result will be differently. Their desire is to see it themselves in the center, and to try to enjoy that which is seen, the objects around them. But here we see that the Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvak, the one who is constantly worshipping the Lord with love. Krishna says, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. So certainly Mother Yasoda is the personification of Vatsalya Bhav. Prema in the Vatsalya Bhav is complete in Mother Yasoda. Others may develop that mood of devotion towards Krishna, but in no way excel Mother Yasoda or become Mother Yasoda. She is eternally the personification of motherly love towards Krishna, in which all other motherly presence expands. Her love for Krishna excels that of Nandamaraj. Sometimes it's said they're both equal, but actually Mother Yasoda's love is the greatest of all. Greater than that of Devaki, greater than that of any other expansion. They're all expansions of the potency of Mother Yasoda to serve Krishna in various pastimes. But there's nothing so deep, at least in the Vatsalya Bhav, there's nothing so complete as the love between Mother Yasoda and baby Krishna. She can never, like any mother, even if they appear externally to be grown up, the mother, even in the material world, has this tendency to see their son. He may be a 50-year-old CEO of some major company, Reliance company in India or something, and the mother will still see him as a little baby and wishes that she could put him on her lap and breastfeed him, which may not physically be possible, but in her heart she feels like that. She always sees her son like that. Particularly this is common in India. The mother's love for her child, even though he's 50 years old, he's a CEO for some big billionaire company, and still sees him like a helpless, dependent son who has, if he doesn't feed him, he'll die. It's natural love of a mother. Motherly Bengali mothers, like our Dayavati is a Bengali mother, famed for their love for their sons. The Sachi Devi, Bengali mother. Mother Yasoda is not a Bengali mother, she's Vishvasi. That's the ultimate. We don't necessarily have much experience of that in this lifetime. But her love is so intense, so intense. Even the Krishnas, she's able to feed Krishna her own breast milk. Krishna hankers for that love. It's liquid prema. We say milk, but it's actually nothing but the prema of Mother Yasoda, which Krishna, in this case, is very special. We hear this Radha Damodar pastime. One of the essences of this, in a sense, is Krishna, even Lord Chaitanya's appearance in this world. He wanted to taste the prema of his devotees, the love which Radharani experiences is far greater than his own love in their relationship. And similarly in this relationship, the love, the prema, which Mother Yasoda experiences is even greater than that which Krishna experiences in love with Yasoda. It's incredible. But here he's drinking that prema. Another angle of Krishna tasting the prema of his devotees. So you can understand why he's not satisfied when Mother Yasoda puts him down. Not just because he's hungry for prema, he's hungry for love, not just to fill his belly. He likes the taste of milk. This is not milk as we would normally term the word milk. This is the highest form of motherly prema. When the child's in the lap of the mother, the child is very comforted, safe. Babies, when they're in their mother's lap, they feel completely protected, safe, comfortable, satisfied, basically. Innerly satisfied. So that's another reason she put him down. But overall, the whole arrangement was made to increase Mother Yasoda's happiness. Krishna arranged, in one sense, there's another side to it. he arranged for the milk to boil over to increase Mother Yasoda's brain. When she went to turn off the milk, or to deal with the milk, it said that her love for Krishna increased many-fold, although she put him down. Her absorption in him, she was just meditating like intensely on this milk only exists for the pleasure of Krishna. I've got to allow this milk to serve Krishna for his pleasure. The milk, everything's personified in the spiritual world. Everything. The flowers, the churning rod, the ropes, which were churning back and forth, the pot itself. The pot was not just an ordinary old clay pot. It was studded with all kinds of valuable gems and jewels and was shining effulgently. Everything was alive. And everything, every single atom, whatever it is, was relishing their relationship with Krishna. So the milk in the pots in the kitchen was, Janananda Goswami, one of the Acharya's comments, was feeling very sort of depressed almost, seeing that Mother Yasoda was feeding Krishna her own breast milk in their own sight they could see. And what use are we? We're useless. We're nothing compared to Mother Yasoda's breast milk. We're insignificant. We're tasteless. Although this is the most ecstatic milk that exists. So what's the point of our living? The milk was thinking. We may as well commit suicide. So the milk boiled over with the intention of burning itself in the fire. Like this, everything is. So Mother Yasoda also saved those devotees and those of Krishna. So many angles are there. But it's all increasing the loving relationship. And that's the spiritual realm. In the material world, we're all thinking of increasing our own love, even when the concept, our own pleasure, even when the concept is there of helping others, is motivated. There's a motivation, a self-motivation. It's not entirely selfless. Even a mother's feeding of her child is still tinged with a degree of her own, you could say, satisfaction. She wants to control the child. But Mother Yasoda wants to control Krishna too, because Krishna wants to be controlled by Mother Yasoda. He wants that, so he creates that scenario also, you could say. He likes to be controlled by his devotees more than anything. Krishna is not controlled by a whipping stick, or by whatever other method it may be, by a rope. He's controlled by love, pure love. Nothing else controls him. And everything that takes place on that platform is simply an unending manifestation of pure love between the Lord and his devotees. In this world where we're practicing to kind of develop that mood or that natural state of, I was talking to one boy yesterday, Leopold his name was. He was from America, from Austin in Texas. Little Chinese background and Belgian name, Leopold, and it's common in that part of Europe. And he'd been to a Krishna program, some retreat near Houston somewhere. And he was very interested in Sanatana Dharma. He's already got our Bhagavad Gita. Very interested in Sanatana Dharma. He can't get this concept of love, service. We're all servants of God. It's not personal, obviously. Okay, well maybe God's a creator, but that doesn't mean we're his servant. He might be everywhere, but that doesn't mean we're his servant. This idea of service is hard for people to grasp. It tends, because we see ourselves in the center. We like to be served, by the way. But we don't like this idea of being servant to others. At least many people don't. He was one of the, he was a very nice boy. And we were just visiting for the day or two in Paris. And anyway, eventually he said, okay, after discussing what real service means, how it is the fulfillment of the soul's very aspiration, selfless love, to experience the highest form of love in relationship with Krishna, because he knew Krishna, he'd heard, been through programs, and there's some things were there already. So he could grasp, he said, okay, I'm going to go home now and read the Bhagavad Gita again. Kind of something clicked in his heart a little bit, at least. The service is not just like you become sort of kind of a mindless slave for eternity. Some devotees think like that. I've just become a slave in this Hare Krishna movement. I'm being exploited. You're not allowed to think for yourself. I said, Prabhu, I think. And my Bhakti leader said, don't think. Don't think. Just do what you're told. Thinking, Maya. This is Maya. I'm not allowed to think. You only think of Krishna, nothing else. Well, in one sense, if we're on that platform, that's perfect. But it should be with knowledge, not just, becoming some blind follower. Some kind of conscious awareness has to be there of what's going on. Because we haven't quite awoken our constitutional understanding as such. We're still a little conditional. We kind of like measure things and judge things, not necessarily from an absolute platform. We try to refer to scripture, but we're referring to scriptures through a somewhat covered consciousness. So we don't always get it right. We try to hear from others, but maybe others are more advanced, but maybe not absolutely realized. And so on and so forth. It may not always appear from the external to be a perfect decision which was made. Certainly not a selfless one. But the process is there to gradually come to that platform. So we refer to Guru, Shastra, Sadhu as much as we can, with this understanding to try to find the right course of action. What is the right thing to do? And it's not so much whether we do the right thing or not, from the external point of view. It's the mere fact that desiring to do the right thing. We may pray to the Lord for guidance. That's very nice. And of course we can't really say, in this particular case, for instance, if we looked at it from a purely mundane point of view, not so much a mundane point of view, but a view of devotion, but not with a fuller understanding of the depth of pure devotion, just a relative one. One may judge this, and one may well agree with Krishna. But what is this? Mother Yasoda is feeding her baby. Her baby is God. This is like, what more is there to do? What difference does it make if the milk boils over anyway? That's not a big deal. But she put her son down. This would be a little perplexing, maybe you could say, from some angles of vision. And you could judge it like that. We may not be able to understand exactly how this is all going on, but the real understanding, whatever is going on, is simply increasing the pleasure, the bliss of Mother. Krishna is simply arranging things and behaving in such a way to increase Mother Yasoda's bliss. That's all he's interested in. He's not necessarily interested in milk, butter, yogurt, ghee, and so on. But everything is to increase the pleasure of his devotees. And vice versa. So everything a devotee does is to please Krishna. You can't really learn that in a book or by discussing it in a meeting. It's part of it in terms of coming to that level of existence. It's a state of existence. There is nothing else in one's consciousness except for that. It's not that you're, well, should this or that. It's spontaneous. Spontaneous. And even if there's perplexity, that's also increasing the pleasure. There's no question of alternative. Everything is for the pleasure of the devotees from Krishna or from the Krishna from the devotees. Just like when we cook. Those fortunate devotees who are addressing the deities, what are they thinking? I hope they're not thinking of what they want to do themselves. I hope they're not thinking of fighting with each other or, getting this done as quickly as possible so I can go back to bed and do something else. Or thinking, I hope everyone praises me after the curtains open, how nicely I dressed the deities. I don't know. I'm just thinking of how to bring pleasure to Krishna. He showed everything. Although she was actually, sometimes she was feeling somewhat envious of the earrings, Krishna's earrings, because they're always touching the soft skin of Krishna. It's a kind of different kind of envy. You may not have that type of envy. You may be envious of another devotee who seems to be getting more praise for the way they decorated the deities than I did. Sometimes nasty thoughts come in. But we hope they're positive. We're meditating on the Lord and we're just thinking how to bring more pleasure, like with Radharani. When Radharani sees Krishna dressed so beautifully, she's very happy. And vice versa. And we were thinking of their pleasure. What colours would they like today? And especially, it's a little easier to ascertain in the kitchen, what would Krishna like to eat? I don't know if we ever think like that. No? What would Krishna like to eat? And I don't care if I don't even ever taste it. But all that matters is what Krishna would like. And that's supposed to be how we do things. Supposed to be. Whether, to what degree it is, I do not know. But it's supposed to be like that. We're always thinking like that. Mother Yasoda doesn't think when she's cooking, well, I think he likes samosas, but if I cook a lot of samosas, there'll be some left for me. And I can enjoy those samosas too. She's not thinking like that. She's only thinking of what pleases Krishna. Let him eat it all. He had an unending appetite. He could eat unending numbers of sweets. He was never satiated, although he appeared to be. But he could eat unending sweets. He didn't need sweets. He had plenty of sweets at home. He was just going to the neighbors and stealing butter and ghee and sweets and this and that, and eating it just for increasing the pleasure of the neighbors and manifesting this pastimes. Everything is for pleasure in the spiritual relationship. Pleasure of the object. In this world we do tend to sometimes think, and when we're measuring the offering, another 10 seconds to go, and I can put some aside for myself or somebody else, but it's not so bad to put it aside for others. But sometimes we're selfish, or we cook what I like, the way I like it. We cook what I like, the way I like it. And everyone else complains, but that's irrelevant. It's your problem, not mine. You cook. You cook. Sometimes that happens. There's no spices, or there's nothing but spices. It's deep fried in oil, dripping in oil. I'm not sure if Krishna likes deep meat. He can do anything he likes, but generally we don't hear Krishna pastimes. Mother Yasoda is, crushing the things to make oil for Krishna's sweets or something. So, extracting the milk from the tofu to make some kind of milky preparation. they call it soya milk. Soya milk. You don't hear Krishna drinking soya milk. Don't think mothers give in their breast have soya milk. If you eat too much soya, it might taste like soya. Or if the cows are just eating fields with only soya, the milk might be a little soy taste. That's not what's going on here, that's for sure. We're trying to give Krishna what he wants. To hell with what we want, or what every other idiot wants. Is what Krishna wants that counts. It's the following in the footsteps, and that's obviously it's not absolute in our sense, in one sense, but the intention is in that direction. The guidance should be in that direction. The arrangements, as much as possible, should be in that direction. Why do we clean the temple? Is it just so that we can enjoy ourselves more, or we feel better, or the public are more attracted? Those things may sometimes come in, but it's really not for that. It's really for the pleasure of Krishna, Radha Krishna. Everything should be pucker clean, nicely decored. Everything. We all know it's very exciting. There's so much we could do. No end of it could be done to increase the pleasure of the Lord. In every single way. Absolutely every single way. It's exciting. It's challenging. It's adventure. Pioneering. It's all good. We're not there yet, but with the right direction, we're on the way. And that's the idea. To transform our attention away from ourselves, from thinking from our own perspective, to thinking what will bring pleasure to Krishna. Krishna in the heart will gradually guide us as when we're ready to adopt more and more, and then the necessary behavior, necessary thoughts to awaken this constitutional nature. Constitution of every soul is pure, and it exists simply of love for Krishna, nothing else. Of course, there's other, you could say, expansions of the Lord. The expansions are there. Even the Brahman, everything's an expansion of the Lord. Even the material world, but in this world, of course, we don't have that affection for Krishna. We have affection for his energies. But it's still indirectly this misused affection, misplaced. So devotional service is to renovate our consciousness and to replace our affection away from our own conditional perception, etc., towards trying to see things from Krishna's point of view. And that's where, and then Krishna, the more he sees it, that's what it means. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. It's not some kind of, he gives you, a pay rise, or he gives you, a nice husband or wife or a new car or something, or he helps you to distribute more books or something. That may be there for children, but the real aspect is that one's loving affection towards him increases, magnifies greatly, it increases multiply. Because it is he that reciprocates like that. He feels your love. We're doing it selflessly for him, and then he wants to selflessly love the devotee, you could say. It's reciprocal. And that increases more and more and more. That certainly requires the association of great devotees who have that. That should help out. So we don't realize how fortunate we are to have, and still do have, that opportunity to associate with Srila Prabhupada by hearing about him, by following in his instructions as much as we can, sacrificing, as Prabhupada shows. In this world we call it sacrifice. Sacrifice, where we give up sense gratification to try to bring satisfaction to Krishna. A sacrifice. You could be lying in bed sleeping, you could be watching the television. You could be at some entertainment event. You could be doing all sorts of things that you like to do. Instead, you've chosen to chant Hare Krishna, which you may or may not like to do. And you've chosen to follow a certain lifestyle, which conditionally you may or may not like to do, I don't know. And instead of watching this, that, and the other, we're watching or reading about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, or watching Krishna conscious movies if you watch anything, something like that, watching Kirtan, something. Trying to, trying to engage our senses in relation with Krishna, with the understanding that this will purify our consciousness, remove all of our false identity and so on. Even though it may not have become full blossom, but something may be there. We have some faith there. But it's not a spontaneous, natural flow of devotion. So by following the footsteps of those who are Madhya Soda, as Prabhupada said the other day, we have to, what do you exactly say this really? In the first verse. It should be the practice of persons. Madhya Soda is constantly chanting the glories of Krishna, or she's rendering her various services for Krishna's pleasure. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Soda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. So following such persons, like Sri Prabhupada, one achieves, the more sincere we are, one achieves the reciprocation of the Lord. To remove all other motivations, all other inhibitions, all doubts can be removed in this way. So following in the footsteps. But that's the free will of the soul. That's the choice of the soul. That's where free will really comes in. Do we want to follow our own perception, or do we want, with our own intentions for trying to get a comfort zone, feel good, get praised, and so on and so forth, or do we want to bring pleasure to Krishna? And we learn how to bring pleasure to Krishna by trying to please his pure devotees. It's the greatest service. Or Shiva says the greatest. To serve the devotees is even greater than to serve Krishna. That's the spiritual realm again. Because a devotee never thinks, Madhya Soda has no choice, she's a personification of perfection. Although she's also happy to see other devotees engaging in those services. And same with Radharani. But ultimately, every devotee wants Radha to be with Krishna. It's only to increase that spirit of loving exchange between them that other devotees sometimes appear to be, say, interfering with that, but seem to be taking the attention of Krishna. It increases the rasa, the relationship with him. Whether it's a feeling of separation or jealous anger or whatever it may be, it just increases the sweetness of the relationship. Just like you put a little spice in a sabji, for instance, with a dal. It's not all spices. Spices are meant there for many reasons. One of them is to enhance the taste, not to cover the taste of the dal or the sabji, but to enhance it. They also have other purposes, digestion and so on. They have their service there. It's the same in Kirtan. The main thing in the Kirtan is the sound of the name. It's not the beating of the djembe or clanging of the gong or blasting of the wampers or the stomping of the feet on the ground or whatever else it may be, and the screaming. The purpose is to embellish the sound of the holy name, to bring to the forefront Krishna. Shastras are there too, to remove all doubts so that the truth shines forth. And in the presence of pure devotees, this is facilitated. At least the opportunity is there. Whether we take it or not is our choice. That's where free will comes in. We may object to it, we may reject it, we may even ignore it entirely, just go away. We may challenge it, do whatever we like, who the heck do we think we are? A conditioned soul, attached to sense gratification, doesn't even know anything about its own body, thinks we know everything about the Absolute. Which is our pride. This pride which keeps the living entity from this opportunity. Very difficult process again. It's very, very hard for people to grasp. It's hard for us to grasp. Even if we theoretically know, but to actually enter into is another thing. So we'll just finish this off here. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee with it, and what to do first and what to do next on a platform of absolute truth. This is pastimes such as these, especially this, have a great opportunity for us to hear with a submissive heart and purify us of our ulterior motives, of our conditionings, of our whatever anarthas are there in our hearts. So the milk becomes absolutely pure. We all know that when milk is not pure, mixed with water, or to speak of is mixed with salt, or some other substance, is not the same. Plus there's ways of mixing that are compatible mixtures. For instance, sweet rice, when done properly, is very compatible. With cardamom, it can be very compatible. With certain spices, it can be very compatible. It enhances its sweetness. We have to know how to utilize the knowledge which is there or comes to us in a way which is ultimately pleasing to Krishna. And saying when you cook, what is compatible. We don't just speculate. Speculation does not please Krishna. I think it'd be nice if I do this. So we'll speculate. We try to find out how to do, just guess how to do. Of course, there's a degree of reciprocation there from experience, what have you. But in principle, we find out how to do it and try to follow it. How to cook a chapati nicely, so it's pleasing to Krishna. Prabhupada taught us, for instance, how to cook a chapati. You're meant to be, the dough is meant to be rolled thin, you're meant to roll it. You don't roll chapatis in ghee, you roll them in flour. You don't roll puris in flour, you roll them in ghee. Simple. That's the tradition. And maybe in different parts of India the tradition is different, but that's what Prabhupada taught. Everything, the temperature of the dough, the water, everything is taken into account to try to make the best chapatis for Krishna. And that doesn't mean you don't make the best chapatis for everyone else. Everything should be understood for the pleasure of Krishna. Pleasing Krishna's devotees is more important to him than pleasing him in a big sense. So that was it. Prabhupada would reject chapatis if they weren't correctly cooked. He wouldn't offer them. He'd stick them on there because I cooked them. They're like half-cooked or crisps, like poppadoms, or half-cooked dough inside. You can re-cook them. They should blow up like footballs, Prabhupada said. And nice little black spots all over them. Light as feathers. There's a bit of expertise required there. You learn from others how to cook nicely for Krishna. We can not learn exactly, we can learn from the example here. We will learn the details that comes later. at least the mood. We're trying to learn the mood of the devotee and to understand that mood a little bit, try to apply it a little bit in our lives. Techniques and the details are there to some extent, but the absolute sense come later. Just wanting to do the best for Krishna. We're all different, so we can't, again, it's not to imitate. The envy, which we have now maybe a little bit mixed, but in the spiritual realm sometimes there's something called envy, which means, oh, how nicely that devotee is bringing pleasure to Krishna. I wish I could bring pleasure like that to Krishna. And my service is absolutely no good for nothing compared to that devotee. And we aspire to bring more pleasure to Krishna. Maybe by serving that devotee. And the same principles there in this world too. At least, hopefully to some extent, of wanting to bring more pleasure to Krishna and learning from others how to do it. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Ekadashi bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Try to keep going. Jai.
Yes, Janananda Goswami Maharaj ki.
So we finished text number 5 more now. 6. Still here. 6 and 7. Have a nice Harinam in Garsa South. Just hear as many books, those who are going to be just hearing books as you can. Don't forget a lot of Arabic speaking people there. Not so many English speaking. Mostly Arabic and French. Irene is if she's still here, you're familiar with the Garsa South.
It's never too late, right, Maharaj?
Huh?
It's never too late, isn't it?
Jai.
You don't want to disturb.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Do we have deity greeting yet?
Yes, time for Guru Puja.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.